Okay, this video is on linear systems, solving linear systems. In other words, we've learned how to graph lines. And let's say I had one line, and then I graph a second line. Well, more times than not, if I graph two lines, they're going to cross each other. And where they cross each other is called the solution of the system. And that's what we're going to solve algebraically. Okay? So instead of graphing, we're going to use algebra to solve where two lines cross each other. Okay, so let's take a look at this one. Notice both of them, this one and this one, are lines and they're in standard form. Okay? In other words, we know that the x's line up here, we know the y's line up there, we know the numbers line up there. Right? Well, this is exactly the way we want it. First step is always to make sure they line up with each other in standard form. So now what we do? Well, notice that if I just simply add them, let's see what happens. Isn't x here plus x there 2x? And here's the key part. Y and negative y there make 0. That's what we want. We call this elimination method. In other words, we're going to make it where one of the variables goes away, and then we solve for the other one. So since we agree that y minus y is 0 equals 1 plus 5 is 6, I just need to divide by 2. I know x is 3. Now that I know x is 3, how about we plug it back into one of the equations? We could pick either one, but I like this one here, right here, because it's all positive. So I'm going to plug 3 right in there. And don't I get 3 plus y equals 5? Again, the 3 right there is because we know x is 3. Doing a minus 3 both sides, y equals 2. So my solution is simply 3 for x, y is 2. So pause the video, study what we just did, take your notes or whatever, and be ready to move on to the next problem. Okay, here's a second problem. Notice this one's a little different because everything is lined up, right? But x and x right now would make 2x, and we want to cancel them out. Because notice over here, 2 and 4 definitely are not going to cancel out, right? So what are we going to do? How about if we do a minus? Isn't x minus x going to be 0? Yeah. So the key thing, though, guys, remember distributive property. So if I minus here, I got a minus there, I got a minus here. Now that minus with a negative makes a plus, right? So remember, I got actually a plus 2 there. Now let's see what happens. Well, x minus x is 0, as we wanted. Now 2 minus 4y is negative 2y. That equals 2 plus 2, which is 4. Remember, that right there was minus negative. Again. So 2 plus 2 is 4. So dividing by negative 2, I know y is negative 2. And since I know y is negative 2, again, I'm going to plug that in. And both choices are good, but that first one has less negatives in it. So I kind of like that. So I'm going to plug the y in there. Don't plug it in for x now. So let's see what we got. We got x plus 2 times negative 2 equals 2. Again, the negative 2 right there is now y. We substituted in for y. Okay, So that means x minus 4 equals 2. Adding 4 to both sides, x equals 6. And our solution is x6, y negative 2. So again, pause the video before we move on to our last problem. Okay, last problem. Well, this one's a little different than the last two, because here's our problem. 2 and 3 don't match up. Neither does minus 3 and 1. So what am I going to do? How about if we make this a 3, so that 3 minus 3y makes a 0, right? Okay, let's times the second equation by 3. So 3 times 3 is 9x. 3 times y is 3y equals 3 times negative 5 is negative 15. Now notice, guys, I times everything by 3. It's called the distributive property, right? Make sure you times every term by 3. Okay, and we already have 2x minus 3y equal to negative 7. That was the first equation that we did not change. Notice now, when I add these together, 9 and 2 is 11x. 3 minus 3, again, by making that a 3, we just made that 0, equals negative 22. Dividing by 11, that means x is negative 2. And then, I'm just going to plug it right back in there. I like that equation because it has less minuses or negatives in it. So what do we have now? Well, we have 3 times negative 2 plus y equals negative 5. All I did again, look at the blue, is plug in negative 2 there for x. Alright, finishing up, negative 6 plus y equals negative 5. I'm going to go ahead and add 6 to both sides. Y is 1. And therefore, my solution is negative 2 for x, 1 for y.